Welcome to the last segment of Citizens Forum, Wednesday, March 26th in the Memorial Arena in Victoria. I'd like to thank again our volunteer crew and the Shaw staff that makes it all happen. Our guest in this segment is Rick Habgood. We're going to be talking about democracy and proportional representation. And I would make a prediction that if we had proportional representation, the arena that we are filming this in would be called the Memorial Arena and not the Save on Foods Memorial Arena, because that's how important proportional representation and democracy are.
I think you're absolutely right. Thanks for having me on again, Jack.
Because I got the idea from you.
I know that. You beat me to the gun here. I watched the Elizabeth May interview.
Okay.
30-minute interview that people can pick up on at Citizens Forum, Elizabeth May. And it was an absolutely excellent interview. I learned a lot. And I realized that I haven't actually been paying attention as much as I thought I had been. And she pointed a lot of stuff out that was very, very pertinent to where we are right now as a democracy and as a society. And without a doubt, what she's saying indicates that we are in trouble, no doubt about it. You know, we do have a lot of things to fix. And what it did was it made me look back at the shows that we used to do, and the shows that you do here, and the shows that I did with Breaking Ice, and all the good folks, you know, that we would interview, and all the good attentions that they had, you know. And then all of a sudden they get out there, they get the troops organized, and then they hit a wall, a stone wall. And that happened time and time and time again. How many people have we interviewed that have this issue and they don't know where to go?
Yeah. And they try their best.
And they try their best. They're passionate.
And they're trying to do good things, help society, help the world.
Great people,
yeah.
Smart people. And back then, you know, I didn't have an answer, actually, because, you know, it certainly wasn't political. And unfortunately, the politicians are the ones that pulled all the strings. So unless you actually knew somebody that had an in with a, you know, like with a assistant deputy minister or whatever, and they could get you an audience with whoever, and then they would listen to you, and then they would shake your hand and they say, well, you know, we're going to look into it for you. And then you'd never hear from them again. And you know that this has happened time and time again. Will you interview people on this show? So what is it? You know, and I never, you know, back in those days, I never connected it to electoral systems. I just didn't connect the dots. I just didn't think that an electoral system was that important. You know, I'm sure, like almost everybody else, you know, that is passionate about an issue, they believe that if they can get the right people on board, that things will change. And even if they do get the right people on board, they still got to get past the ministry that controls that sector. And that's always been the stumbling block. It's that sort of stonewall.
Yeah, so what we find is that our governments, the people we elect, have become our enemies on so many of the issues that we think are important. It's city government, provincial government, and the federal government. You know, and you know, I used to be very involved in forestry issues, and I remember, you know, many years ago when I first got involved, it all seemed so simple because the science and just what was right seemed so obvious.
Yeah.
But I also didn't understand at the time that none of it mattered. The corporations controlled the government. The governments were totally uninterested in what anybody had to say, and so was the media. And you know, you think you're going into a fight where if you have an intelligent point, an argument to make, and most people support that argument, you think as an innocent and naive person that your politicians are going to say, well, yeah, that makes sense, let's do it. But you find out very quickly that that's not how the system works at all.
It's not how it works. And we were very naive back then. I remember when we were at the Sierra Club and we were fighting for the forests. And I remember getting, you know, brilliant people, Cameron Young, Peter McAllister, people like that, you know, and we would strategize, you know, as to what needs to be done. I can remember Peter bringing up Globe and Mail, Maclean's, Time Magazine, Newsweek, National Geographic, all those guys into Clackwood Sound with the idea that he would be able to create so much noise about Clackwood Sound that the government just would automatically say, okay, let's save it. And it was an NDP government too. And the NDP government, by the way, came to a meeting of the Sierra Club, and I believe you were there, and Harcourt said that if we supported him, that he would bring peace to the woods. Do you remember that?
I don't remember
You
that,
don't.
but I remember that was the general picture.
Yeah, you remember. Well, the NDP wanted to bring peace
Yeah.
to the woods.
And once they were elected,
Who are you? What's your name?
They sold us out completely, 100%.
I know.
The NDP, when they were elected in 1991,
1991.
had a chance to not only save the forests of British Columbia,
Yeah.
but to create a great economy here because we
Absolutely.
had this wonderful resource. And there were 3 or 4 major groups. There were the logging companies, the giant corporations.
Noranda.
Yeah. There was the government. There was the unions. There were the environmental groups. And there was the public. And what the NDP did was they joined with the corporations and the most corrupt unions, and they pushed the environmental movement aside, and they lied to and misled the public into thinking that they were making great change. And people bought it because when the corporations owned the media and you got the NDP telling them that things
Yeah.
are great,
Yeah.
people bought it. And
Yeah.
we were just betrayed.
Yeah. It's a pretty cozy club.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And, you know, but I was very naive. And I thought that they would definitely be there for us. And I will never forget Mike Harcourt meeting, I believe his name was Ray Anderson from Noranda. He was the president of Noranda. And Noranda was the company that was going to basically log Clackwood Sound. McMillan Bloedel, actually. And I remember Harcourt meeting Anderson on top of Radar Hill, which is a very famous hill in Clackwood Sound, or in the peninsula, the Ucluelet Peninsula. And they met on the top of Radar Hill and shook hands. And I thought that symbolized exactly what we didn't want. that went in exactly the opposite direction, you know. And
I'm not sure you had the name right, but
yeah, I'm not too sure,
the
but
situation
I know
was
I
exactly
know
what
the
happened.
incident was there. I think his name was Ray
Doesn't
Anderson,
matter.
but
It's-
anyway, it doesn't really matter. He was the CEO of Noranda, and so anyways, getting back to the present day, what I did, I was actually going to do a different show today, but then after watching that Elizabeth May interview, I thought to myself, you know, I think I better just jump in here and just do a little bit of digging, because one of the things that I'm going to be doing over the next year or two is I'm going to be proving that first past the post, and I mean proving in a logistical way, that first past the post is a system devised in England a long time ago to protect the landowner's wealth.
And first past
From
the
the
post,
Commons.
for those of you who don't know, is the voting system we use.
We use first past the
Yeah,
post
so you're saying that system was devised.
to protect the wealthy.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's created by the wealthy. They put it in place.
Yes, they did.
Okay, and I've got the evidence to that. And I was going to actually do that show today, but anyways, so I thought what I would do is I'm going to look at like 3 indexes, For one thing, the first index was the Environmental Performance Index, and then the second one is the Environmental Initiative, I believe. Commitment to development, the commitment to the environment worldwide. So anyways, on the environmental performance, they take a look at how a country is doing to protect its environment on the inside of that country, right? And now this is out of approximately 50 nations, 50 of the wealthiest nations, okay? And Canada ranked 24th. We're not doing very good. The United States came in 49th.
That's shocking.
That is
I mean,
shocking.
I'm surprised they're doing so much worse than we are. Who was at the top?
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
All the Scandinavian countries right up there.
So I think the point you're making here is that countries that work well and have proportional representation voting systems tend to be better in many, many different ways. And if we could switch to proportional representation, then this could also be a better country.
We could turn it around.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because proportional representation is a political system that breeds collective wealth. All you got to do is look at Norway. Norway's got it right. Norway is doing wonders with protecting their resources for the public good. We, on the other hand, are protecting the resources for the private good.
Yeah.
Exact opposite, which is first past the post.
Now, there are countries with PR voting systems that are in disastrous states. There's no question about that. So you've got to be on top of things. You've got to have more democracy. But a PR voting system, proportional representation voting system, is fundamentally important. And all it means is you have a voting system so that if a political party gets 10 to 15% of the votes, they get 10 to 15% of the seats. In our system, the Green Party here, for example, gets 10 to 15% of the votes, and provincially they get
anything.
We've got one seat now, or they've got one seat now,
Yeah.
provincially, and one seat federally.
Yeah.
In Germany, or some of the other European countries, they have dozens of seats because they get enough votes.
Yeah.
Our system, our first past the post system, doesn't allow it. It doesn't give us the governments that we vote for.
No, actually, it does give us the government that we vote for because our votes don't count. Only half our votes count, and our votes that do count go towards those people that we vote. Anyway, it's a very
Pathetic.
backward,
Yeah.
pathetic, ancient,
But still,
ancient system.
I'll say this. I think we need a national debate or a provincial debate for 6 months to a year with real information put out.
Yeah,
And then we have to have a ballot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 3 proportional systems and first past the post. And people can vote 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that gets more than 50% of the support
yeah.
wins. And if that's first past the post, okay, that's what people want. Let's do it.
There has to be it has to be balanced, though. I mean, and also people have to know the facts.
But people have to have information.
They
Absolutely.
have to have information, which means that the press has to do their job.
Well, the press has done their job, which is
Well,
to make sure
I
that
know.
nobody has any information.
I know. So the
They
press
do it brilliantly.
there has to be a way of getting the information out to the public. What we have is first past the post breeds a lopsidedness, and we're looking at it right now. Like actually, we're going to get. I'm going to skip that one. The one index I'd like to get to before we end the show is child poverty. And child poverty, if you want, I asked that German fellow that I met over in Germany a while back last year, and he was a social scientist, and I said to him, I said, what is Germany's top resource? And I thought he was going to say education, and he came right back at me. He said, our children. And I thought, That's exactly what it is. Our children are our top resource. So, anyways, I looked at the this goes with UNICEF to the child poverty, and we are absolutely out of 30 nations, we rank 23rd.
Out of 30,
30
nations,
top nations on the
Canada,
planet, we rank 23rd.
child poverty.
United States
Well,
is 29th.
thank you, Stephen Harper.
Yes,
Thank you, Christy Clark.
that's right.
Thank you, Mike Harcourt.
That's right.
Thank you, Jean Chrétien.
That's right.
Thank you, Globe and Mail.
Absolutely.
Thank you, CTV.
Absolutely.
Thank you, CBC, because you are the ones who've created it very deliberately. And we can do better, but it's up to us, because all of our leadership is both pathetic and corrupt.
That's right. Yeah, well, this proves it. I mean, if we can't take care of our children, what can we take care of? What is it that is more important than the children of our nation? And we're in 23rd spot according to UNICEF. And the United States and Britain is 21st. So there you got 3 nations
With first past
past the post.
Yeah.
One's in 21st spot. We're in 23rd. And the United States is in 29th. So what does that say?
And once again, who are at the top?
They're all, well, they're all Scandi countries. Northern Europe, Europe is way up in the top 10. They dominate it. Iceland, Netherlands. But but one that is,
Oh, okay.
but
We'll
one,
have to stop. I think we'll have to stop.
Yeah, but we'll just wait for them to
they don't want us to record.
I should just write down what we were just saying about.
I know what we were saying.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you were saying Iceland, Netherlands are in the top spots.
The what?
You were saying Iceland and the Netherlands.
Yeah,
were
that's
in the
right.
top. Okay.
Are we
So
ready?
carry- Yep.
Are we on? Okay, so Iceland, Iceland, Netherlands, all, okay. One country, though, that was consistently in the top 10 was Singapore. In all of these, the environment and child poverty. So I was surprised at that. But anyways, I think the most important part of this is that our first past the post system is an excellent system for breeding wealth, individual wealth. People who want to make a lot of money really do well with this system. But the majority of people, this system is a disaster, a total disaster. The interesting part is that in a proportional representation system that's run properly, let's say in Germany, across the board, the actual normal individual income is higher than what it is in Canada, United States, or Great Britain.
And Rick, I'm afraid we're out of time.
I know, we're out of time.
Thank you very much. I mean, what can I say? It's fundamentally important. Proportional representation. Thanks for watching Citizens Forum.